Hello, my friends, and welcome to Rick Reads. Today I'll be continuing The Demon with Chapter 23. Dante awoke to a slight pulsing in his head. He rolled over and rubbed his eyes, wiping away the sleep, and felt his ring pulsing in time with his head. Stacy was trying to reach him again. They had kept in regular contact nearly every day for the last 2 months. He allowed her thoughts to flow through his mind, letting her know she had his attention. "Hey, beautiful," he greeted. While he spoke aloud, he enacted a globe of silence around himself, so anyone outside his room would not be able to hear him talking. "Hey, you," Stacy's voice floated in. "How's Gerard?" "Oh, he's as good as can be expected. We're all surprised he's lasted this long, but he's a tough old man." "So you've told me," Stacy replied. "I thought you'd only be gone a couple weeks at most." "I know," Dante apologized, "and I'm sorry. I wish I could be there with you, but I need to be here for him until he's passed on." "I understand. You're not really missing much out here anyway." "Still," Dante sighed, "I feel a little guilty for not being there while you were sick. Are you feeling any better?" "I'm still throwing up a bit, but not as much as before," Stacy said. Dante thought he heard the hint of a smile in her voice. "Turns out it wasn't food poisoning, though." "Is this serious, then?" Dante asked fearfully. "Oh, very," Stacy quipped. "But it's nothing to be afraid of." "What is it?" "Well, I had wanted to wait until you were back home to tell you, but seems I'll have to wait too long for that. I'm pregnant." Dante nearly fell over. His face split into an enormous smile and he wanted to jump for joy. "Well, that's great!" he exclaimed. Stacy's own joy flowed through Dante's mind, adding to his own. "I know! We're gonna have a family!" He was so pleased at the news, Dante could not contain his happiness. He burst into the adjacent room where Gerard lay. "I'm gonna be a father!" he exclaimed. Gerard grinned from ear to ear while Aaron and her mother gasped. Dante didn't hear the disappointment in Aaron's breath. He was too focused on his own joy. He did not even notice her leave the room. Aaron ran to her room and wept. She had thought that with Dante near her, she could turn him away from Stacy and toward herself. However, now that Stacy was pregnant, Aaron knew that her love for the demon was never to be returned. She knew that she would never find a man like him. Then, due to the pain of heartbreak, an idea struck her. She could remove the opposing woman from the picture somehow. Perhaps she could convince Stacy that Dante was being unfaithful. Or she could simply kill her. Either way, Dante would lose Stacy, and Aaron could swoop in as a comforting friend and win his heart. Aaron smiled at the thought, relishing her chance at the demon's love. She began packing a bag for the trip back to Bethlehem. Dante sat with Gerard, both grinning from the good news, and talked of the new life to enter the world. The old man would laugh and pat Dante on the shoulder, telling him of the wonders of fatherhood and the joys of raising a family. That was one of the only things Gerard had experienced which Dante had not. Dante brimmed with excitement and mild trepidation. He was worried that something would happen to him or Stacy that would leave the child with only one parent. Or worse, what if something happened to both of them? He pushed the disturbing thoughts from his mind and focused on the positive. He would teach his child the wonders of the world. Dante became distracted by the prospects of his new life of fatherhood, so much so that he was not aware of Gerard drifting off to sleep. The old man often slept for much of the day, leaving the rest of them to take care of other matters. "Have you seen Aaron?" Gwen asked that evening, while Dante was helping her prepare dinner. "Not since this morning," he replied. "Why?" "Well, I thought I saw her heading out on another trip. It's not like her to leave without telling anyone, especially when her grandfather is so ill." "Perhaps she's headed out for supplies and didn't feel it was important to say anything," Dante shrugged. Aaron adjusted the strap of her pack to a more comfortable position on her shoulder as she walked along the road to Bethlehem. Anger drove her steps, her goal clear in her mind. She was going to find Dante's woman and bring an end to the relationship however possible. Aaron kept reminding herself that there was still a possibility that Dante would find out she had something to do with whatever happened. But she did not care. She would deal with it when the time came. All she cared about was her current goal. Thoughts of the demon's wrath slowed her steps, though. She tried to brush them away, but the lingering fear of his ire remained. Erin forced her thoughts away, telling herself that she had overcome more terrifying beasts than Dante through her travels. Her short sword was stained with the blood of werewolves and vampires. The blade was notched from biting into the bones of minotaurs. She had even met another demon, one who truly looked the part. Its crimson skin glistened with its own spilled blood as she stood triumphantly over its dying body. But how could Erin have felt more fear upon witnessing Dante's cold, calculating evil than she had during all of her battles combined? What was it about Dante that left such a chill in her spine? There was definitely something about him that she could not quite figure out. Even her grandfather once admitted to feeling a certain level of fearfulness around the demon. Something set this demon apart from all of the others, even though he was not the most unassuming of any magical being. He lived as a simple human outside the city, carving out his own meager existence in a forgotten relic left behind from the war. Erin shook the thoughts from her head and increased her pace. Bethlehem was near, as was her mission. Erin entered Bethlehem just after sundown 2 days later, and it was just as she remembered it, other than the return of electricity. The town glowed with a subtler yellow light rather than the flickering orange light of torches. The world was slowly becoming whole again, finally making an effort to return to the former glory it once held. All throughout her life, Erin had heard tales of how much better the world was before the war ravaged Earth. Her grandfather weaved grand tales of how a person could talk to someone half a world away, all through a small handheld device. With the return of electricity, such communication was once again within the realm of possibility, even if most of the present population regarded the stories as mere legend. Supposedly, there were great metal objects in the sky that aided in much of the communications of Earth, but they required realigning, as Gerard had put it. Erin was skeptical of the validity of his claims, but she indulged the old man by listening to his tales. Erin walked through the town, gaining her bearings and mentally taking note of the layout. She would likely be forced to make a hasty retreat. Whatever happened, Erin had to be prepared. She checked into an inn just off the main road and stored her belongings for the night. Her sword stayed belted to her hip while she wandered the empty streets. She passed by the barren schoolyard, barely noticing the moonlight glinting off the metal playground equipment. A light appeared in one window of the schoolhouse, immediately gaining Erin's attention. She hid around the corner of a nearby building and peeked through the lighted window. Inside was Stacy, rummaging through some papers on her desk. She flipped through them, apparently seeking a particular page. Finding it, Stacy sat at her desk and read the child's work. Late-night homework grading, Erin surmised. She suddenly felt very unprepared. What had she planned on accomplishing when she found Stacy? Erin had no idea how to proceed. She'd been so focused on her anger that she failed to have a plan for how to deal with the woman sitting not 20 feet away from her. Beginning to panic, Erin hastily formed a rough plan. Kill Stacy. It was simple. The woman would be out of Dante's life for good and all, leaving Erin the opportunity to console him and turn his attentions to her. Erin knew she was beautiful. She had been told as much by nearly every man she spoke to. She was no novice to using her womanly assets to sway a man to her will. She stopped short of betting most men, but Dante wasn't most men. Smiling, Erin began to draw her sword. Down the street and around a corner, Victor strolled along his patrol route, enjoying the night's beautiful moonlit sky. The lights diminished the visibility of the stars a bit, but Victor was far enough away from the city center to enjoy most of the stars' light anyway. His sword hung comfortably from his belt, well within easy reach if the need to protect anyone arose. He rarely needed to draw his blade for anything, but he knew the world far too well to trust in the goodness of humanity. Still, Victor walked with an easy gait and felt quite at peace. His mind wandered to Stacy and his growing feelings for her. He knew that he should not be in love with a human woman, no matter how close they were, but he could not help his feelings. She was a very desirable woman after all, but she was human nonetheless, and he was an angel. Heaven had no laws against loving or being with a human, but the pain that was inevitably involved was often its own deterrent. Angels lived for thousands of years, while a human lived only decades. For an angel to fall in love with a human only promised pain from the eventual heartbreak brought on by the human's death. Victor feared what he knew he would have to face when Stacy died, whether she was with him or with Dante. And then there was the problem of her love for the demon. Why did a newcomer so deserve Stacy's love over a friend she had known nearly all her life? Was Victor not more worthy of her love than Dante? However, through Dante's own actions, Victor had come to realize the demon was not as evil and bloodthirsty as he had once thought. He remembered watching Dante volunteer at Stacy's school, helping the teacher with her pet project. The demon helped the students improve their reading comprehension by finding a stash of books from before the war and helping them figure out the tougher words. That, coupled with Victor's occasional trips to heaven to gain more information on Dante, helped the angel to properly piece together what had happened 3,000 years ago, when the two of them had last met. He knew that Dante was on a mission from death to allow more life to thrive after the devastating war. Although it meant the murder of countless innocents and the destruction of entire civilizations, Victor knew that Dante's work had saved billions in the long run. He didn't agree with the means, but the outcome was undeniably better than what would have been. Dante was by no means a hero in Victor's eyes, but at least the angel could allow himself to grudgingly respect the demon. The thought of holding respect for a demon brought a slight smile to Victor's lips. Perhaps not all demons are alike, he mused to himself. He walked around the corner of a building and came within view of the school. He smiled again upon seeing a light on in a window. He figured Stacy was up late grading papers again. She certainly worked hard at her job. Her love for her students was evident in everything she did for them. A flash of silver moonlight glinting off steel across the way caught Victor's attention. He saw a young woman drawing a short sword, murderous intent clear in her eyes. The angel realized the woman was staring at Stacy, and his hand immediately gripped the hilt of his sword. "Stop what you're doing," he commanded, catching the woman's glare. Erin jumped at the sudden voice and slid her sword back into its sheath. Panic welled up inside her and she bolted away from the scene. Sighing heavily, Victor chased after her, hoping the woman did not have any associates nearby. He ran with all his speed and followed the woman through alleyways and empty streets. She was fast, but as far as Victor could tell, she was merely human. He silently cast a spell to grant him more speed, and he easily overtook her, tackling her to the ground. Victor held her hands behind her back with one hand and pinned her legs down with his own. His free hand brought a length of rope from a pocket in his robes and bound her hands. That done, he roughly hauled her to her feet and turned her around to face him. A small scrape marred her otherwise pretty face, but did nothing to quell Victor's ire. "Who are you?" he demanded. "What are you doing here?" The woman stiffened as she felt the power of a spell forcing the truth from her mouth. My name is Erin Sykes, and I'm here to bring an end to the relationship between Dante and Stacy." Her eyes lowered in shame at her poor resistance to the spell. She had taught herself to be more resistant to such spells when she traveled, but this man had pulled the truth from her as easily as plucking a hair from her head. "By killing her?" Victor shouted. Again, the words left Erin's mouth without her permission. "If that became my only option," she grunted. Victor was taken aback. As underhanded as it was, he felt a twinge of curiosity. Why? I love him," Erin hissed. "I want him." Victor almost smiled. This woman was easier to interrogate than the rabble he was accustomed to. He had not made any threats against her and had only used a very minor truth spell to coerce her into spilling her plans. Then there was the potential solution to the problem of Dante standing in his way to Stacy's heart. Could this woman be of use to him in ridding Victor of the demon and his affections for the woman he loved? There was definitely the possibility of using this woman for just that. Erin glanced around, looking for a way to escape while her captor was lost in thought. But the truth spell was still too powerful. It was making her more honest, and escaping when she was about to commit murder was too much. The spell kept her rooted to the spot. So, if you could accomplish this task without breaking any of the laws, do you think you could pull it off? Victor asked unexpectedly. Erin snapped her gaze back to him, too shocked to speak. Her confusion was apparent on her face, making her captor chuckle. Would it help if I untied you? He asked. Erin nodded. Victor waved his hand, and the rope slid free and returned to Victor's pocket. Erin rubbed her wrist and looked cautiously at him. What would you gain by letting me go free? She asked. You love Dante, he stated. I love Stacy. I believe we can help each other out. The woman narrowed her eyes. The catch being I had to do it without killing her, she said for him. You must do it without breaking any of the laws I fight so hard to protect, Victor corrected. Erin thought for a moment and nodded. It may be a little more difficult than I had anticipated, though. Ah, but now you'll have help, Victor grinned. And that, my friends, was chapter 23 of The Demon. I hope you enjoyed it, and have a wonderful day.